While many undergo procedures to get the perfect look, they want to stay healthy and also sometimes go the extra mile, but sometimes you go a little bit too far. In this video, you're going to see Trevor Smith as well as Greg Kovacs, and lastly, you'll see Greg Valentino. These bodybuilders took it way too far, so stay tuned for the juicy details of what happened to them. Sally McNeil. Now, Sally here, also known as Killer McNeil, wasn't actually much of an award-winning bodybuilder. In fact, the only awards that she could actually boast about were some Armed Services Physique Championships during her service in the Marine Corps. Despite being a professional bodybuilder, she didn't bring home many medals, but she did bring home a lot of steroids. Sadly, with all those steroids, there was a lot of setbacks and side effects. Sadly, the biggest setback would come back on Valentine's Day 1995. Sally McNeil experienced a major episode while using steroids. She became hysterical and ended up killing her husband, who was a fellow bodybuilder. This in turn led to her being sentenced to 19 years in prison for second-degree murder on March 19, 1996. Though her lawyers did claim she was a victim of domestic violence, it held little water because of her late husband's defense had evidence of her harassing a police officer. She also had a history of violent outbursts, aggression, and this was also during her previous marriage as well. Also, of course, testing positive for steroids in her system didn't help her defense at all. February 2019, they denied McNeil parole as she continued to serve her sentence at the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla. However, in 2020, she was granted parole. Sally McNeil will turn 61 years and as far as I know has stayed away from the stuff. Trevor Smith. It can be hard to be satisfied with our bodies. Some of us are a little bit too big, some of us aren't big enough. Some of us are big in the worst departments, and some of us are big in the muscle departments. And sometimes we go the extra mile to keep fit, and sometimes use substances to give us the ideal body. Enter Trevor Smith, who weighed about 400 pounds at his peak. Trevor Smith is one bodybuilder that took things, again, too far. Unlike a lot of bodybuilders who were interested in professional competitions to win prizes, Trevor Smith was actually popular for being a coach and writing fitness articles. He also had his own bodybuilding business called Nuclear Nutrition and was popular in the bodybuilding community. On top of being about 400 pounds of pure muscle, he also stood at 6'1". While all this sounds impressive, you should take it with a grain of salt. While he did put in extra hours at the gym, he also was found guilty of using steroid use on the regular. Once during an interview, Trevor was asked about his training regimen and he said, "I call it the beyond failure training because the general rule of thumb is that when the body fails, the set just begins, and it's the philosophy that will cut through all the bullcrap." Truly words of wisdom. When Trevor Smith's body reached his final failure and there were no more sets, Trevor didn't stop. He just kept on training and training. Sadly, this not only affected his health, it also cost him his life. Trevor died in 2004 at 33 after having a big heart attack. The extra weight had ripple effects on his internal organs, damaging his system as well. The Hulk Brothers. Regardless of how you try to blend exercises and drugs, there's always going to be a counteraction and side effect. For the Hulk Brothers, though, it cost them not only their professional careers, but an actual rampage with the police. These brothers, popularly called Hulk and Conan, were so obsessed with building their bodies that they injected themselves with deadly chemicals to increase their body size. It all began when these Brazilian brothers were having their usual session at the gym. Sadly, the steroids in their system had a negative effect on them, and they went on to destroy the gym. What started it all, though, was that one of them fell off of an elliptical machine at Gold's Gym in New York. The fall came with hysteric reactions. They went about attacking other customers and destroying workout equipment. Thankfully, the police did arrive and shot them with tasers. One brother, however, grabbed the taser from the police officer who tried to cuff him. That's not all, though. He went further to fight back at the police, and as the fight intensified, he was tased twice more. It took about 6 police officers to finally have this one cuffed. After they recovered, it was discovered that they had PCP and steroids in their system. They literally took it too far and actually could have died. While they did survive, I'm not exactly sure if they are still in jail or not. Something to look up. Andreas Munzer. Andreas Munzer was an Australian bodybuilder known for his extremely low body fat levels. Not only was he a world medal holder, he was also featured on Flex twice and Muscle Magazine International once. Munzer had a role model called Arnold Schwarzenegger. You might not have heard of the guy. He admired him so much that he actually attempted to be like him, eventually meeting up with his hero as well. Munzer then won the Arnold Classic competition in 1996. He actually went on to win several more awards, his most prominent being the Arnold Classic competition though. During the competition, Andreas Munzer depended on several substances. He used a variety of ergogenic aids and large amounts of potassium-sparing diuretics. Not long after this, Munzer suffered from severe stomach pain, which lasted for months. When he was taken to the hospital, the doctor had to operate on him to stop the bleeding in his stomach. It was probably too late though, as Munzer died shortly after that. It turned out that his liver and kidney failed shortly after the operation, and his condition was far too severe for a blood transfusion. Munzer died the next morning, and when an autopsy was carried out, it was discovered that he had an extremely muscular physique with very little fat. His liver contained table-sized tennis tumors and cardiac hypertrophy though. Andreas Munzer died at the ripe old age of 32. Greg Kovacs. When it comes to keeping fit, most people do what they can to keep their bodies in shape, while others choose to take extra minutes on the treadmill. Well, for someone like Greg Kovacs, keeping fit meant extra hours at the gym. Being a professional bodybuilder with remarkable dimensions, Greg Kovacs was well over 6 feet tall, and he also weighed about 330 pounds in competitions and about 400 pounds off-season. His arms measured 25 inches while his chest was 70 inches and his legs were a massive 35. During the prime of his career, Kovacs reportedly developed a 27-inch arm, which is quite large. Kovacs did retire from professional bodybuilding in 2005. This, however, didn't stop him from building up more. He began his own business and coached competitive athletes, but like most of the bodybuilders on this list, Kovacs took lots of hormone steroids to enhance his appearance and performance. While it did help him gain muscle mass and also dominate his competitors and also allow him to get on the cover of Flex magazine, he couldn't run from the after effects. Kovacs died of a heart attack in 2013 at the age of 44, an after effect of all of his drug use. Dean Whamby. Not all bodybuilders survive or defeat the side effects that come with taking narcotics, as we've seen before. Dean Whamby is one of the many that did not survive the repercussions. Dean Whamby was an English bodybuilder who not only focused on achieving the biggest body weight in the world, but he also took steroids to help him achieve that. With an impressive physique of over 240 pounds, Dean Whamby soon became popular in the bodybuilding community. Sadly, of course, it didn't take long for the result of his actions to come on display. In 2010, they diagnosed Whamby with liver tumors. This drained even all the weight he had gained over the years, and by 2015, when he had passed away, Dean Whamby had moved from being a weight champion to a bed-bound human. After his death, investigations revealed that the major cause of his liver cancer was the many steroids that he injected into his system. There was also the presence of other drugs which he took to stay huge. His wife at the time told the press that she suspected he still used steroids, but told her he had stopped when they got married. When Whamby became sick, he ended up taking natural remedies to see if it could fix his body, but it was already too late. It was also revealed that he had taken over 200 natural remedy capsules, which actually might have had some adverse effects with him. Greg Valentino. Greg Valentino was another bodybuilder that was so obsessed with his size that he cared little for his health. Famous for holding the record of the biggest arms and also developing a rather infamous reputation, he became one of the biggest people in the bodybuilding community, a force to be reckoned with. But unlike most of his colleagues in the profession, he wasn't concerned about bulking his whole body. Greg Valentino at first started his journey just exercising, but it was hardly ever enough. He wanted more, so he began taking steroids and testosterone, which made his arms grow bigger at a massive size of 27 inches. He was so excited at the short time that he used to achieve this feat that he got a little carried away. Greg Valentino then became careless. He forgot to sterilize or change the needles he used in injecting steroids into his system. He just kept reusing them. Due to negligence on his part in the minor baseball terrible accident, Valentino had an abscess in his arm. Funnily enough, he didn't actually accept professional help until he was urged to by a lot of his fans and family. When he finally saw the doctor, only his arms were cut open, earning him a large scar on his bicep. Now it's time for the day's best pick. This bodybuilder took it a bit out of line and it pretty much cost him his life. Ruben Arazu. Like many of the bodybuilders on this list, using hormone steroids and drugs helped them achieve their ideal shape, but of course, it's cost a few of them their lives, and Ruben Arazu was no different. 2011, the police in Colton, California arrested this 300-pound bodybuilder while he was sitting naked on a couple's porch. Turns out Arazu had returned from a party and was heavily under the influence of steroids and other drugs. Instead of going home, he ended up on the couple's front porch. He scared the couple, who thought he had probably lost his mind, and I don't blame them for thinking that. They tried to alert the police to get him the help he needed, but what happened after was kind of unpredictable. The couple was met with serious opposition and an attack from Ruben. This resulted in the couple sustaining some pretty serious injuries, with the man sustaining a bad head injury and the woman sustaining facial injuries. It took the intervention of 4 police officers with stun guns and 4 sets of handcuffs to restrain Arazu. Ruben Arazu was arrested and charged with attempted homicide, and what makes this even more bizarre is that he was tased twice, but it had no effect on his body. Taking steroids, though, can actually just dull your system to the point where it doesn't affect you. What would affect Ruben after, though, was being sent to prison. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it really works. Mustafa Ismail. Just like Greg Valentino, Mustafa Ismail focused on his arms. Mustafa is an Egyptian bodybuilder that paid attention to, of course, his arms, and he wanted to set a new world record of being the man with the biggest arms. Luckily for him, he could achieve this feat as his biceps measured at about 31 inches. Now, not only did he overwork his body, they discovered he used other means to achieve his size. Surprise, surprise. While he rejected several accusations, it didn't stop him from losing his victory. Mustafa Ismail's record was soon removed from the Guinness Book of World Records when he was tested positive for drugs. Many believe that Mustafa uses synthetic oils that help him increase his biceps, though he does refute this claim. It's difficult not to believe that he actually did it, though. See you all next time!